Started my trip from Istanbul, Turkey, where I was attending a workshop on nonviolent resistance. And I arrived in Amman late Wednesday night. And Thursday morning, I headed to the bridge. I started around 9 o'clock. On the way, I picked up some books that I had left in Jordan that I had shipped from the US, plus the conference that I attended in Istanbul. They gave us about 15 or 20 books on nonviolent resistance. Anyway, I arrived, I took the taxis to the bridge, arrived at the bridge around 10:30 or so, and proceeded to go through hell basically for almost 12 hours now. And it was getting through Jordan alone. There were like 20 buses that were backed up, and it was because the Israelis were pacing the buses, and they had like 3 employees processing thousands of people today. And as we crossed from Jordan on the bridge, they stopped a bunch of buses, and there was, I would say, about 12 buses ahead of us. We entered after waiting for about 3-4 hours on the bridge, basically overlooking the bridge of Jordan River. We go into the Israeli side of the bridge. On the Israeli side, we have to get out, get our luggage, and put it in, and then wait some more. I go in and then I stand in lines, very, very long lines inside. Again, maybe 3 hours or so. And then my turn comes up, and I'm happy that I'm reaching the window where this young Israeli woman is sitting there. I don't know. She looked like Eastern European to me, maybe Polish or something. She gets my passport and then asked me to sit down, and then I sit down. I wait for half an hour. I go back to her and I say, "What's going on?" She says, "Go sit down." So I go sit down, and then she takes my passport, gives it to the intelligence services, and then I wait another about 15-20 minutes, and then I come and ask the intelligence people at the window, what's going on. They said, well, you're not supposed to be waiting here. You're supposed to go wait in the other section of the building. So I said, okay. So I go to the other section of the building. I wait for about another hour or so, maybe an hour and a half. An Israeli officer comes. He hands me a piece of paper. So this is a piece of paper that says basically I'm to appear at Gush Etzion complex on August 9th. So then they let me go, and I thought that was the end of it. But then, of course, my luggage is still kept. So I go to get my luggage and move outside to get my luggage, and they stopped me at the next police stopping. When they looked at my passport, they have this barcode which links to my luggage, and they said, your luggage needs to be inspected, so go sit down. So I go sit down for about half an hour or an hour. And then they get the luggage out, and they ask me which is my luggage. So I point to it. They take it and put it at the desk, and then they start rifling through it. And then they start calling for backup, basically. There was like 4 of them going through all the books in my bags. They were especially intrigued by books like this one called Civilian Jihad, and they were flipping through it page by page, which took them forever. Another book they seemed to particularly like to pay attention to is this one, which is a geopolitical atlas of the occupied territories. And then they call for a higher officer. The higher officer comes, also rifles through my books, and then he comes to talk to me, which they had asked me to sit down while I went through these books. And then he comes to talk to me. He says, what's all this? What do you do, etc. I said, well, I'm a professor, and I was in a conference. Where was your conference? I said, well, you saw a map of Turkey. I was in Turkey, so you know where I was. He said, what was the conference? I said, the conference on nonviolence. He says, what do the Turks know about nonviolence? I said, well, like everybody else, some people know about violence and some people know about nonviolence, and some Turks that I was talking to know about nonviolence. He said, well, I guess you don't know what they did in the boats. I said, what boats and what did they do? He said, well, they beat our soldiers. I said, well, what I heard is a different version of the story, and I have a video that shows that it's a different version of the story, that you guys came down shooting at them. Plus, I wasn't there, and you weren't there, and so if you want the evidence, I'd be happy to send you some videos that were smuggled out after Israel confiscated all the videos. Anyway, and he's asking me questions like that, and what I do and how I go, and I said, well, I lecture and I speak out and I write about nonviolent resistance. And you can see that from the books that I have. And so he said, sit down, goes back, consults with some people, makes a couple of phone calls. After about, we're sitting at the luggage for about an hour and a half doing this. And then he comes back to me and he says, okay, come. And then he takes me and asks me to put back the books in the luggage. I put back the books in the luggage, and that's when basically they let me off there. So I go to get out, and the computer program still has me marked as luggage dangerous or something, and I had to intervene and get me out of the computer system. And then I go, and there's another place where they check luggage again, and I checked it, and the guy says, open, they go through the belt to check out as the last stage, basically, and he says, open the baggage. He opened the baggage. He says, what's this? I said, books, but they've already saw it there. He said, well, I'm another person. And I'm like, oh, come on, give me a break. I said, you can call them and ask them. They've already spent an hour and a half going through these books and stuff. Anyway, he says, what do you do? I said, I'm a professor. He said, okay, go. So I go and then get on the bus to go from the Israeli side to the Palestinian side. And on that bus, basically there was a guy, Palestinian guy, sat next to me, and so I was chatting. I asked him what time did he leave. He said, well, I left Doha at 1 o'clock. I said, what do you mean Doha? He's Doha, Qatar. I left at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I said, this is just amazing. You left Doha, Qatar at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and you are here already with me and even ahead of me. And I left at 9 o'clock in the morning, and I am with you. He said, well, that airplane from Doha to Amman is 2 hours, and then I took the taxi to the bridge, and then I have VIP, and I enter VIP. And I said, okay, VIP. I don't have VIP, I guess. So what do you work? He works at the American base in Doha, Qatar. So I guess some of us are lucky, some of us are not so lucky. Unfortunately, the date they gave me to appear for Gush Etzion on this piece of paper is the same date I'm supposed to appear before another Israeli judge on a traffic violation that I didn't commit. So we will see what happens, but I'll send this to my lawyer, and we'll see how we can arrange so that I can appear before 2 colonial offices in one day on August 9th. Stay tuned.